The insane truth behind a son humiliating his mother at 3 a.m. You won't believe what happens next. The clock struck 3. Silence wrapped around the small house like a thick, suffocating blanket. But inside, chaos erupted. A son stood in the dim glow of his phone, eyes wide, heart racing, as he faced the most shocking reality of his life. What should have been a quiet night turned into a scene so bizarre it felt like a twisted nightmare. He was about to humiliate his mother in a way that would leave everyone gasping in disbelief. Moments earlier, everything seemed normal. The smell of burnt toast lingered in the air, remnants of a hurried dinner that had gone terribly wrong. She'd been tired, the weight of the world on her shoulders. And then, a sudden thud echoed from the kitchen, sending him racing through the narrow hallway. What he found made his stomach drop. His mom, a strong woman he'd always admired, was crumpled on the floor, her face pale, a glass of water shattered beside her. But that wasn't the strangest part. On the kitchen counter, an antique mirror gleamed under the flickering bulb, and he could swear it was whispering her name in a language that twisted his insides. The tension mounted as he knelt beside her, fear clawing at his chest. "Mom? Are you okay?" he stammered, shaking her gently. But before she could answer, the mirror vibrated, and shadows danced across the walls. The air felt electric, charged with an energy that caused the hairs on the back of his neck to stand. It was as if something otherworldly was watching, waiting for the perfect moment to unveil its secrets. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As his heart raced, a chilling realization washed over him. His mother's face twisted in horror, reflecting memories long buried. Yet, deep down, he felt an odd thrill, the kind that comes just before jumping into a dark pool, uncertain of the depths below. What had this mirror revealed? What past was clawing its way to the surface? The mystery hung heavy in the air, spiraling between them, leaving him breathless. Suddenly, a piercing scream erupted from behind him, and instinctively, he turned. A figure loomed in the doorway, silhouetted against the moonlight. It was another shock that froze him in place. "Get away from her," the voice thundered, fierce with urgency. He spun back to his mother, realizing the truth was unraveling around him like yarn, and this night, which began as a simple click of the clock, was about to expose secrets so dark they could shatter everything he held dear. Would he uncover the truth, or would he drown in the shadows lurking around him? The figure stepped closer, face coming into focus as the moonlight revealed a woman, frail and wild-eyed. Her hair was a mess, sticks and leaves entangled like remnants of a dark forest. "Mom!" he gasped, disbelief flooding his system. How could she be here, in a time meant for silence? Why did she look so terrified? Glimpses of familiarity hovered in the air like wisps of smoke. His mother's fragility was palpable. She struggled against the unseen force that seemed to grip her, eyes darting between the mirror and the strange woman who had abruptly appeared. "You shouldn't have come back," the newcomer screamed, her voice cracking like shattered glass. "What do you mean?" He couldn't make sense of it. This was not the time for riddles. Before another word could be uttered, the antique mirror shimmered violently, its surface rippled as if something alive stirred within. "Stay away from it," his mother warned, her voice barely a whisper, yet full of urgency. "It's not just a mirror, it's a portal." A chill slithered down his spine. A portal? Images flashed through his mind, flickering memories of whispered arguments and vague promises about past mistakes. The feelings of dread coiling tighter with each revelation. Shadows pulled at the edges of the dim kitchen like dark tentacles reaching for something or someone. Leave her alone. He shouted at the mysterious woman, who now stood fully in the light. Your mother needs to choose. She hissed. Her past is calling her, but it's up to you whether she answers. The words hung there, heavy, suffused with unrelenting tension. His mother gripped his arm, fingers shaking. You don't understand. I thought I had buried it all. But now they want me back. Who were they? Heart racing, he glanced at the mirror, its surface swirling, revealing images of his mother as a younger woman smiling, dancing, but then scenes shifted to panic and despair. She was running, searching, lost. He felt as if the weight of her past was about to crash down on them. Desperation surged through him. No. I won't let you make that choice for her. He ignored the woman's fierce glare, eyes still locked on his mother. Mom, we can face this together. Whatever it is. As the air thickened with tension, the mirror erupted in a flash, revealing a darkness that swallowed the light. He watched in horror as shadows coalesced, not just reflections, but figures stepping out, long-lost faces that twisted into grotesque versions of themselves. Lost family members, friends, a jumble of their past traumas. They moved as if trying to drag his mother back into their depths. Help me. She cried, the tremor in her voice so vulnerable it tore at his heart. But would he risk everything to pull her away from her dark legacy? Please. In that moment, a choice loomed before him. Would he plunge into the darkness, dragging her back into the haunted whispers of her past, or would he let her confront it alone? As images collided around them, he felt the cold pull of the unknown, an invitation to a realm of secrets and sins. Don't go. He shouted, fingers straining to hold on to her. But the shadows were relentless, swirling and laughing as the moment slipped away. In desperation, words tumbled out, I don't care about the truth. Just stay with me. Yet, as if in answer, the room darkened, dimming as the figures closed in, leaving him gasping and alone. What horrors lay before him? The battle had just begun and the mirror's secrets awaited their reckoning. Would he embrace the darkness, or could he pull her back from the brink? In that moment, everything hung in the balance, and the clock ticked on. The shadows twisted and writhed, their edges tinged with a sinister glow, as if the darkness itself had a mind urging him, mocking him. His heart thundered in his chest. He had to act, yet every move felt like wading through mud. Mom! He shouted again, his voice hoarse and strained, trying to cut through the chaos. Fight it. You have to fight. His mother's eyes flared with wild desperation, a flicker of recognition hidden beneath the surface. I'm so afraid, honey. I didn't want this for you. Before he could respond, the figures began to materialize more clearly, stepping forth from the murky veil. Their faces were hauntingly familiar. The relatives and friends he once knew. There stood his grandmother, her mouth twisted in a soundless scream, and beside her, a childhood friend long gone. This wasn't just a nightmare, it was a grotesque reunion of lost lives. Come back to us, Sarah. A voice called from the depths. The tone was smooth, persuasive but laced with darkness. You made your choices. You owe it to us to return. His mother stiffened, horror etching deeper lines across her face. No. I left that life behind. I can't. I won tea. But the phantom figures surged forward, extending ghostly hands that beckoned like sirens calling sailors to their doom. The air in the room thickened, like moisture before a storm, as if the very fabric of reality was tearing apart. Stop. All of you. He screamed, raw determination igniting within him. He took a step toward the mirror, shoving against the oppressive force that held him back. The old woman, his mother's specter, snarled, You shouldn't interfere. This is her reckoning. With a sudden burst of rage, he tore his gaze from the swirling abyss. You want her back? What do you want from her? The lights flickered, and he saw the remnants of joy dance with despair in the reflection. The mirror was both a nemesis and a window, revealing the fragments of his mother's lost self. "Choose, Mom," he shouted. "You can't let them win. Remember who you are." His voice rose, filled with the urgency of 10 lifetimes. For a heartbeat, the tumult quieted. The shadowy figures paused, seemingly stunned by the force of his plea. His mother's eyes narrowed, catching the silver glint of hope buried deep within the chaos. "You're right," she wheezed, her breath shaky yet determined. "I want to go back. I have to fight for my son." With newfound resolve, she pulled herself closer to him, grounding herself against the onslaught of torment. The figures shrieked in protest as their hold weakened. Desperation fueled his next words, "We're stronger together. Let us break this." The mirror flickered violently, the glass edge vibrating like a taut string. Tendrils of darkness lashed out, but he lunged forward, grasping his mother's hands tight in his. On 3. 1, 2. The shadows recoiled, hissing in a cacophony of rage, but he didn't falter. 3. The world exploded in a burst of blinding light as he and his mother's hands shattered the veil. He felt a rift open, pulling at him, yet their connection held firm, but then, as the brightness enveloped them, a cold whisper slipped into his ear, "You can't escape us, not yet." The light dimmed, leaving them suspended between worlds. Would they find freedom, or was this just the beginning of another terrifying journey? His heart raced, uncertainty flooding his veins. What awaited them on the other side? A haunting silence stretched before them, leaving only questions swirling in the empty void. A chilling stillness surrounded them, pressing in from all sides like a vice. His heart pounded louder, a wild drum in the vast emptiness. The light that had taken them from the dark fluttered and flickered, revealing a vast expanse of shadow, shifting and writhing alive. "Where are we?" he croaked, his throat dry, his voice barely a whisper. His mother's grip tightened around his, her warmth anchoring him in the void. "I don't know, but it feels like a limbo, a space between what was and what could be," she said, her tone thick with uncertainty. As if responding to her words, the shadows began to coalesce, swirling into a chaotic mass that formed into indistinct shapes. They pushed against the edges of their awareness, teasing with flickers of images, memories unbidden, moments of love and despair. He saw his mother, laughing as they baked cookies in their kitchen, a sunlight-drenched afternoon filled with warmth. But that happiness shattered. "Make it stop!" he shouted, clutching his head. "We have to get out of here." One figure jolted forward from the swirling shadows, more defined than the rest. A face emerged, his childhood friend. He looked sad, lost. "You can't ignore us, Stephen," the ghostly boy murmured, his voice breaking. "We're part of your mother's past. She forged a path away from us, but it's not that easy. You can't just stand in the light and think you're safe. You need to confront this." "No." His mother's voice sliced through the chaos. "I've moved on. Let me go." The boy stepped closer, pleading. "If you don't face what you left behind, it will consume you. You can't heal while running. You'll lose him, again." The room distorted, morphing into a montage of her life, the good times twisted into a crushing weight of regret. Every heartache surfaced, enveloping them in guilt, despair, and suffocating sorrow. His chest tightened, each breath a challenge. "Mom," he said, sensing her fading resolve. "You can't let them get to you. They're not real, not anymore. We can force them to leave." But shadows gripped her, echoing her past failures. "I can't. I didn't protect you. I didn't shield you from all of this." The shadows cackled, a chorus of agony echoing around them. "You're linked to us, Sarah. To your mistakes. It's all your fault." "No!" he screamed, shaking his mother's shoulders. "It was never your fault. You are more than your past. You're my mom." The shadowy forms shifted, almost recoiling from his assertion. The boy's face faltered as he looked at his mother. "You can't hold on to this, Sarah. If you let go, maybe, just maybe, you can break the curse." With each desperate word, their surroundings warped with emotion. Light pulsed at the edges, pushing back against the encompassing darkness. Her eyes, a deep well of both fear and recognition, met his. "Let us do this together, Mom," he urged, conviction flooding his voice. "We fight. Not just for us, but for everyone who can't anymore." She blinked, clarity breaking through the fog. Swallowing hard, she nodded, resolute. "You're right, Stephen. Let us fight for what remains, for hope." As they joined hands tightly, the shadows writhed and wailed. The room quaked, vibrating with their resolve as it shook the foundations of despair. There was a moment of stillness before they lunged forward, propelled by fierce determination. Just when they were about to pierce the heart of the darkness, everything flickered again. "Wait!" the ghost cried, a mix of warning and uncertainty. "You think you can just leave? The price of freedom is high." And in that split second, time stood still, as if the universe held its breath. What price would they pay to escape? What would they lose in the leap for freedom? The ground beneath them felt shaky, and doubt seeped back into his mind. His grip on her tightened as shadows erupted, clawing at their retreat. "Hold on. Together!" he yelled, desperation rising in every syllable. As darkness closed in, the light flickered again, engulfing them both in a desperate embrace of hope. What lay ahead remained uncertain, yet the echoes of their past screamed for resolution. But was freedom a dream or a cruel illusion? The shadows twisted closer, dark tendrils racing to snatch them back into the depths. Every flicker of light grew dimmer, their hope threatened by the consuming darkness. As they pressed forward, Stephen felt the weight of regret and pain radiating from his mother, a heavy fog almost tangible in the suffocating air. "Mom, remember the cookies?" he shouted, striving to pull her from the brink of despair. "The laughter? That's who you are more than this." For a moment, her eyes flicked back to him, searching for the truth in his words. The darkness paused, as if torn between swallowing them whole or letting them escape. Time hung in the balance, a precarious pendulum of past and future. "Stephen, what if it's too late? What if I'm not strong enough?" She trembled, the weight of her past looming larger than the shadows surrounding them. "Don't say that." He clutched her tighter, feeling her pulse thrumming against his palm. "It's never too late. You have me, together we can bring the light back." A new wave of light surged forward, flickering wildly, casting jagged beams into the shadowy depths. Glimmers of past memories flared like fireflies' birthday celebrations, whispered secrets, the sound of her soothing voice at bedtime, all reminders of love that had once filled their home. Suddenly, Stephen felt the grip of the shadows tighten around his ankles, pulling him back. Panic surged as he fought against the feeling, but their claws tore into his flesh, clawing at the foundation of his being. "Let go!" he cried, but the shadows hissed back, mocking him with cruel laughter. "You can't escape that which defines you." With a fierce determination, Stephen squeezed his mother's hand and turned his thoughts inward, challenging the darkness. "You think I'm defined by this fear and despair? No. I define who I am. And so do you." The words echoed, reverberating through the stillness as the shadows shuddered. A crack appeared in the oppressive gloom, light spilling through like a morning dawn breaking after a long night. "Let us push through, Mom," he urged, throwing his weight into the shift. "Let us confront this together." They surged forward, the gap in the darkness widening ahead of them. The shadows writhed and twisted, their forms distorting in agony. Stephen could see the ghostly figures of his mother's past, desperate and pleading, but he pressed on. "They can't hurt you anymore. Not if you choose to break free." A fierce light ignited in her eyes. "You're right. I'm not the sum of my failures." she shouted, her voice sharper than any shard of darkness. With newfound strength, she raised her other hand, leaving a trail of glowing white light that cut through the black void. Their united front pushed through, battling against the shadowy remnants of despair that sought to drag them back. Each step shimmered with resolve, each heartbeat pounding like a thunderclap, swatting away the ghosts tethering them to the past. But just as they stood at the brink of the new light, a dreadful sound filled the air, an ear-piercing wail that echoed through the depth of the shadows. It reverberated around them like the cry of the damned. "You think you can leave? You will pay a price, a terrible price." The warning hung heavy in the air, engulfing them in an icy grip of dread that clutched at their hearts. The light flickered uncertainly, stuttering as the reality of their escape twisted mercilessly. "What do they want from us?" Stephen gasped, the uncertainty stabbing like a knife. His eyes darted to his mother, desperate for reassurance. "I don't know, but we can't back down now. We've come too far," she replied, her determination a lifeline amid the chaos. Yet doubt gnawed within him. What sacrifices lay ahead? What dark bargain awaited them? As they took a final step into the light, everything fell silent. The universe seemed to hold its breath, the answer looming just out of reach. What awaited them on the other side of that threshold? Would the price for freedom cost more than they were willing to pay? As they broke through the shimmering light, the world around them collapsed into a kaleidoscope of colors. For a moment, it felt as if they were floating, weightless and liberated from the shadows that had clung to them for so long. Then, with a jerk like a rubber band snapping back, reality slammed into them. They landed with a hard thud on bare, cold ground, their hands still clasped together. "Where are we?" Stephen panted, pulling away slightly to gaze at the unfamiliar terrain. An expanse of gray, barren landscape stretched out before them, dotted with jagged rocks that jutted like fangs from the earth. The sky above was a swirling storm of dark clouds, crackling with ominous energy. I don't know," his mother responded, her voice quivering as her gaze darted around. Desperation hung thick in the air, and he could feel her pulse quicken. This feels wrong." A shiver of dread crawled down Stephen's spine. He began to feel a creeping chill seep into his bones, as if the very ground were alive, whispering echoes of their fears. "What if it's a trick?" he murmured, facing the stormy horizon. "What if we're not free after all?" "Stephen, listen to me." She turned to him sharply, her eyes fierce and unwavering. "We made it this far. No matter where we are, we can't turn back. Remember what we just did together? We fought through the darkness." Before he could respond, a rumble split the sky, a guttural voice booming from the storm. "Welcome, tarnished souls." It bellowed, each word radiating a sickening power. "You think you've escaped the shadows? What fools you are. You're now in the realm of lost deals, a space where bargains are paid and true desires revealed." A figure emerged from the swirling darkness, its form indistinct yet formidable. It loomed like a storm cloud given shape, with eyes that flickered like distant lightning. The swirling mass of its being drew closer, siphoning the warmth from the air around them. "Here, you will choose," the presence continued, its voice smooth yet laced with malice. "One truth will be revealed, but at a cost. What shall it be? A revelation about your past, or a glimpse into your future?" Stephen's heart raced. "What does that even mean?" he shouted, his voice wavering with fear and uncertainty. "Choose wisely," it chided, the weight of its words filling the air with static. "For every truth unveiled calls forth a sacrifice of equal measure." His mother clutched his arm, her breath hitching. "We need to know, but what will it cost us? I'd rather know what's real than hide behind secrets," he insisted, determination boiling up inside him. But he couldn't shake the gnawing apprehension. What dark truth lay waiting to be uncovered? And what price would they have to pay for it? "I'll do it," his mother whispered suddenly, her voice a fierce whisper against the storm. "If anyone has to pay the price, let it be me. I need to confront my past. No, Mom. No. Stephen pleaded, panic rising in him. The atmosphere thickened, the winds whipping around them as they awaited the figure's decision. Your choice is made, it stated, the shadows swirling around them growing tighter, almost suffocating. Very well, the past will reveal itself. But be warned, the truth has a way of consuming those unprepared for its weight. What will unravel next will change everything. An agonizing wail pierced the air, shaking Stephen to his core. His mother's eyes widened, the reality of what lay ahead dawning on them like the rising sun pulling back the darkness. Who are you? She demanded, but the shadows answered only with silence, thickening around them. As the figure's form began to fade, lurching into a memory of a life long buried, the ground beneath them trembled. Stephen's heart raced with sheer terror. The price was heavy, and they were on the brink. What horrific truth awaited them? And was his mother truly ready to confront the demons they had both tried to escape? The ground shook violently, and in an instant, the tranquil silence of the barren landscape erupted. A series of loud cracks echoed as jagged rocks splintered, their sharp edges reflecting flashes of eerie light. Stephen clutched his mother's arm, fear tightening around them like a vice. Hold on. He shouted, but deep down, he felt the suffocating sense of dread that they were spiraling into the abyss of the past. Suddenly, the chaos stopped as abruptly as it had started. A vision flickered to life before them, a vivid, chaotic scene swirling in the air like smoke. A younger version of his mother appeared, her face illuminated by the romantic glow of a different time, her laughter ringing out like a melody that felt both nostalgic and painful. No. She gasped, her voice barely above a whisper. Not this. The scene shifted and distorted, blurring the edges until it solidified again. This time, they stood in a dimly lit room, filled with the scent of something acrid and bitter. Voices emerged, sharp and angry. A man's silhouette loomed near his mother, hands clenched in frustration. Stephen's heart raced. Is that Dad? He whispered, the weight of recognition in his tone. Shut up. You don't know what you're saying. His mother yelled in the vision, her face twisted in strife. The figure's retort was lost in chaos, but Stephen felt the weight of his mother's pain like a heavy stone dropped into his gut. This wasn't just a memory, this was the genesis of their struggle, a place he never wanted to return to but was now thrust unwillingly into. What is happening? He screamed, trying to break through the gray fog that enveloped them. But no one answered as the vision pressed on. The storm above intensified, clouds swirling faster, lightning cracking down in wild fury as if the sky itself reacted to this eruption of emotion. Panic gripped Stephen as shadows loomed closer. One tentacle-like form shot past him, brushing against his skin with icy fingers. Your mother will pay the price. Boomed the voice from before, echoing through the air like a death knell. She seeks to confront the truth, but you, boy, must choose how to safeguard your own future. A cold sweat broke out across Stephen's brow. The unimaginable choices hung like a noose around his neck. I'd do anything to protect her, he shouted defiantly, his heart pounding. But what do I have to lose? Everything, the presence hissed. Your memories, your innocence, your very existence could vanish to save her. Stephen fought the growing anxiety clawing at his mind. He couldn't let his mother suffer alone, yet the stakes were higher than he had ever imagined. The vision began to spin wildly, taking both mother and son on a turbulent ride through scenes of guilt and blame, laughter turned bittersweet, moments now stripped of joy. Stop. Enough. Stephen cried, willing power into his voice. Suddenly, a familiar sound pierced the cacophony, a soft, heartbeat-like thrum pulsing like a desperate plead. As the visions faded, he saw his mother's wide eyes, mixing disbelief with terror. It all came together like pieces of a grotesque puzzle. Stephen, please. I need you to stay with me. Don't lose yourself in this. But the shadows danced, and the malevolent voice returned, heavy with malice. The choice is the price. To know her past, you must barter your own truth. No! Stephen shouted, clenching his fists. The overwhelming sensation of despair threatened to drag him under. The reality twisted again, highlighting their choices. I can't trust it. We could lose everything again, he gasped, feeling the very fabric of their connection fraying. The storm overhead grew more chaotic as a wave of pure darkness surged toward them, leaving raw despair in its wake. Choose. The figure screamed, its form flickering ominously. As the ground beneath them began to tremble, Stephen faced his mother, her gaze filled with a mix of strength and vulnerability. What will you sacrifice? For a split second, they were united in their shared fear and determination, but then fingers of shadow reached towards them, and as they fell away, leaving only dread in their wake, Stephen had to make a choice. Would he prioritize protecting his own truth over his mother's past? Or would he dive into the depths of their shared memories, risking everything in the throes of uncertainty? The choice lay heavy in the air, suspended as time cracked and ground beneath them. What terrible truth would emerge from the chaos? And in the face of such danger, could they really confront the weight of the past without losing themselves in the bargain? The shadows writhed like serpents, coiling tighter around Stephen and his mother as the ground trembled beneath them. The vision cracked again, splintering into shards of memory. Each piece threatened to pierce them with the truth they both feared. Focus, Stephen. His mother's voice cut through the noise, raw and desperate. You can't let it take us. We have to face it together. The swirling darkness pulsed with the tension of unspoken secrets. Stephen could feel his pulse quicken, matching the chaotic rhythm of the storm above. What if we lose everything? What if we can't come back? He grasped his mother's hand, trying to shield them from the impending doom. We can't go backward, she replied, her voice steadier now, although the tremor betrayed her fear. We have to confront what happened. Only then can we find peace. Lightning slashed across the sky, illuminating an unsettling image, a young boy, eyes wide with terror, standing alone beneath an angry father's shadow. Was that him? The recognition hit hard, sending a jolt through Stephen that made him stumble. The sky screamed in response, dark clouds swirling faster, like a churning sea of memories. Stop! He shouted, but it was too late. A new scene burst forth. His father, face twisted in rage, pointed an accusing finger. You're just like her. Weak. You'll never be anything. No. Stephen shouted, clamping his jaw shut in defiance. That's not true. He felt the urge to scream, to push against the memories, to deny the truth spinning around him. Stephen, listen. His mother implored, stepping closer. This was part of my past. I shouldn't let it define us. But you need to know what? How you let him hurt you. He snapped, pain mingling with anger. You made choices, and I was left to deal with the aftermath. For a heartbeat, they stood at the precipice of a dark chasm, guilt and blame ricocheting between them. Their connection frayed with every word, every piece of memory that swirled about like debris in a storm. Stephen, she hesitated, her eyes shining with tears. I'm sorry for everything. I can't change what has happened, but I can fight to protect our future. Can't you see? It's not just about me. It's about you too. The cold wind howled as more shadows emerged, coiling tighter, pressing against him. What's the price? He shouted at the figure hovering above. What do I lose if I choose her past? The mocking laughter echoed back to him, loud and cruel. Everything you hold dear, boy. Your every memory, even your own identity. It surged forward, and Stephen felt something crack inside him. Stop! He bellowed as the overwhelming sensation of despair coursed through him. He couldn't allow this shadow to speak so truthfully. If I die to find the truth, what is it worth? I'd rather fight. I want to let you go. His mother cried. You don't have to sacrifice everything. We can do this together if we face it head-on. Suddenly, a pulsating force erupted around them, shaking the very ground they stood upon. As the darkness closed in, Stephen could feel the weight of the choices clawing at his mind. Would he allow the shadows to consume him in a quest for truth, or would he rise and fight for the connection they shared? As the storm raged and shadows writhed, he made his decision, whispering a silent promise to himself and his mother. I will protect you. But as he felt that resolve swell within him, a chilling voice whispered in return, will your choice bring salvation or condemnation? The air crackled with tension, the ground shaking under the mounting pressure of their decision. Only time would tell if the path they chose would lead to redemption or their ultimate downfall. And in that heart-stopping moment, the darkness paused, as if waiting for them to step into the abyss of their fate. What awaited them on the other side was more terrifying than any memory they could hold. The shadows thickened, and the air grew heavy, wrapping around Stephen like a suffocating blanket. He stood at the edge of a precipice, his heart racing, dread clawing at his mind. Together, he murmured, glancing at his mother, who nodded with fierce, unwavering determination. As if sensing their resolve, the dark mass recoiled momentarily, creating a brief haven of stillness. Stephen felt the tingling of possibility pulse through him. Perhaps they could face this chaos. Perhaps they could reshape their fate, but then, the shadows surged again, a monstrous tide threatening to swallow them whole. What do you want from us? He shouted, his voice cracking. The answer was a sinister laugh echoing through the cyclone of darkness. It pierced his chest deeper than any blade, then came a rush of swirling memories, moments of fear, betrayal, and loss, flooding around him. Weren't you the one who wanted to forget? A dark voice hissed, deep and mocking. Searching for truth is a fool's errand. His mother squeezed his hand, grounding him. Forget? No. We have to remember, she said fiercely. It's our only chance at freedom. With those words, something shifted. The shadows recoiled, as if sensing the undisputed power of truth. In this surreal world, light ebbed and flowed in rhythm like a heartbeat, slowly illuminating the secrets they held within, forcing them to confront the ghosts they kept buried. Here is your past, it boomed, and memories splintered apart. Stephen saw not just his mother, but other faces too. Friends fading, laughter turning to silence. A forgotten childhood of fleeting moments lost to fear. He shut his eyes against the onslaught, but visions invaded, his mother crying alone, a younger version of himself obscured by despair. Why? He screamed. Why do you show us this? Because, the voice whispered, dark as the void, the past is your burden, and you can never break free. It defines you. No. Stephen shouted, the defiance surging through him like lightning. I am not my father. I want to let these shadows shape me. At that moment, the darkness lurched, a whirlpool rebelling against a raging tide. The swirling mass seemed to falter, and Stephen felt his mother's warmth radiate beside him. Her fear reflected resilience, a final beacon of hope against the chaos that sought to reclaim them. Tell me. He yelled, his voice echoing in the void. Tell me what we need to do. A bright flash erupted, stunning in its brightness, tearing through the shadows. Emerging from the brilliance was an image, a fragile young boy, holding an old, faded photograph, his only memory of joy. Remember, a voice urged softly, catching in Stephen's throat. It was his father's voice, but not the one of anger. This was the dad he had wanted. Remember the love buried beneath the rage, the hope that once flickered in your heart. Pain surged through Stephen, a familiar ache surfacing. He felt his heart crack, the emotional weight almost unbearable. Without that love, what am I? Everything, his mother whispered, and it resonated somehow, deep within him. You're not just the pieces they left behind. You're the promise of new beginnings. With that realization, the shadows fizzled around them, a suffocating grasp loosening. A new force arose like the dawn breaking after a long night. Courage filled the chasm where hesitance once dwelled, igniting a fierce determination. "Let us take back what's ours," Stephen declared, grasping his mother's hand tighter. Together, they pushed against the swirling darkness, forcing it back, piece by piece, but just as victory felt possible, the voice returned, deeper and more sinister. "You think you can escape? You have only just begun to uncover the truth." Stabbing pain filled Stephen's chest, the shadows regrouping like an army readied for battle. Their faces, twisted in anguish and rage, surrounded him, simmering with a promise of something far worse lurking just beneath the surface, ready to strike. What other secrets lay hidden beneath the shadows? Would this fight for truth turn into a nightmare beyond their imagination? As they held on to each other, Stephen sensed the daunting challenge looming ahead, their fight only beginning. The shadows clawed at their heels, almost sentient in their determination to drag them back into an abyss of fear. Stephen felt the cold tendrils of despair tighten around his chest, making it hard to breathe. But he wasn't backing down. Not now. "Mom, remember when we used to make cookies every Sunday?" he shouted, gripping her hand tighter. "That time I sprinkled flour everywhere? You laughed so hard." He searched her eyes, desperate for a flicker of hope, a spark that could cut through the darkness. Her gaze softened, the painful memory of joy breaking through the smog of anxiety. "Of course. You were so tiny, running around with your apron all askew," she replied, her voice breaking with emotion. "I cherish those moments." The shadows writhed, hissing and pushing close, but Stephen held strong. "We're not letting them take us back, Mom. We are more than our past." In that moment, the air shivered. The swirling mass before them began to ripple, as if responding to the fierce love woven between them. A heartbeat of silver light glimmered in the abyss, their shared memories flickered like distant stars, each one resonating with warmth and strength. "Focus on that light, Mom," he urged, his heart pounding with renewed courage. "Let us plunge into those memories together. Let us face what we need to face." With a fierce nod, his mother looked ahead, her resolve crystallizing. Together, she reaffirmed, her eyes glimmering with determination. They pressed forward, diving into the light. The shadows recoiled, howling as fragments of their memories swept around them. Childhood laughter danced through the air as scenes unfolded before them: a sunny backyard barbecue, the smell of fresh grass, the sun breaking through the clouds, illuminating everything in golden hues. And then the laughter faded, replaced with echoes of sorrow, his father's angry words boiling over like a pot left on the stove. The heaviness of disappointment, the sharp sting of blame, all swirling like a tempest. "Keep fighting, Mom. Don't let them drown you," he cried, feeling the desperation rise in his throat. "You're not alone. I've got your back." As they surged deeper, the energy around them shifted, the light growing brighter, banishing the shadows inch by inch. They were on the brink of a breakthrough, every ounce of pain and sorrow transformed into a vessel of strength. "Every scar tells a story," he shouted against the chaotic storm of memories. "But they don't define who we are now. We choose what to hold on to." His mother's grip on his hand tightened as if she were channeling all her hurt, anger, and fear into that single point of contact. "You're right. I've spent far too long running from my past. But I won't hide anymore." With that declaration, the boundaries of the dark realm melted away, revealing an open landscape that shone with brilliant clarity. Light spilled everywhere, illuminating the twisted shapes of the shadows, which shrieked and writhed in panic as they began to dissolve. "Let us end this," Stephen shouted, plunging deeper. "Let us take back what was taken from us." In unison, they surged forward, driven by an undeniable bond of love. The shadows shrieked, swirling violently, but Stephen could see cracks forming. Together, they pushed, calling forth all the scars and pain as strength, refusing to let their past dictate the parameters of their lives. They were more than just survivors, they were fighters. They were family. As the light intensified, a final scream echoed throughout the landscape before the shadows erupted, collapsing into a void of nothingness. And then silence. Did we win? He whispered, panting, staring at the calm landscape that surrounded them. Grassy hills, a clear blue sky, the soft, warm glow of sunlight stretching as far as the eye could see. His mother turned to him, her expression serene. I think we did. Tears glistened in her eyes, but they weren't tears of sorrow anymore, they were tears of release. He pulled her into a tight embrace, relief flooding through him. We faced it together. We can build a new future now. Absolutely, she replied, her voice steady. We're on a new path, one we choose together. As they stood there, the warmth of the burgeoning day wrapping around them like a comforting shawl, they saw something flicker in the distance, a rainbow arching across the sky, vibrant and real, and he felt a sense of hope swell within him, knowing that the journey ahead would be theirs to define. A fresh start, fueled by love's resilience. Let us go home, he said, a smile breaking across his face. Together, nothing can stop us. Hand in hand, they walked toward their new beginning, carrying the warmth of their memories as a shield against the past. No more shadows, just light illuminating the endless road ahead. As they journeyed on, filled with the promise of tomorrow, a powerful thought surged through the air. They were not just escaping, they were healing, and somewhere in the distance, the whispers of the past faded away, replaced by the symphony of their future waiting to be written. This is where their story truly began. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. And instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. You need to show your support right now. Don't wait even one more second.